Hello and welcome back to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here back with another government reform guide. So this time I'm going to be covering theocracies. If you haven't seen them, I've done republics and monarchies by this point, and it might be worth checking those out. The papacy tree of reforms is unique among the monarch of the theocracies. But I figured I'd go with them since most people don't play the other theocracies. So essentially, your first one, you're going to start off essentially with a tradition. You're going to either be a clerical state, which is most of the theocracies, specifically, mainly in the HRE, but also if there's any outside of them. Essentially, that will give you 5% national tax modifier. Or you could be a monastic order, like the Teutonic Order or Livonian Order, or I believe the Knights. Yes. And that will give you negative 20% fort maintenance, which is very good. However, in this case, we're the Pope, and so we are stuck with the papacy government form. Fixed to government rank is Pope, prohibits switching government type. So that happens. On the other hand, you get 1 yearly prestige plus 1 tolerance of the true faith. And obviously, you can only get it when you're the Pope. Your next second level, tier 2, internal or external missions. You have internal mission plus 2 tolerance to the true faith, or external missions, war score cost versus other religions, negative 20%. Take the war score cost versus other religions. Just there's no contest here. There really isn't. Especially if you're going to be playing in the HRE or Europe, where you're going to have lots of non-people of your religion. Also could be useful, for example, if you're the Pope and you want to conquer this area. North Africa is actually not a bad place to invade as the Pope, because you get you've got the reduced war score, and you're also the Pope, so which is always a very good benefit. It stacks really well with having religious ideas, so that you can declare wars against religious enemies, but also the second age of Reformation bonus, which is negative 25% war score cost versus other religions. Combine that. Negative 45% war score cost versus other religions. And that is, of course, with no absolutism, once you get it, you still get the negative 20% war score cost versus other religions, which is very good. For your third one, you've got Divine Cause. Why do you rule, or why are you ruling? Safeguard holy sites, plus 1 yearly prestige. Nice. Wouldn't take it as the Pope, because you're going to have prestige that you don't even know what to do with, just by being the Pope. Next one is Combat Heresy. Plus 10 morale of armies. Expulsion of heretics, negative 5% development cost. This essentially asks you, how are you going to play as the theocracy? First one, you get prestige, essentially makes you a much more stable, gives you all the benefits that prestige in the long run can get you. Morale, trade power, mercenary cost, all that stuff, which is fairly good for a non-papal clergy, might be useful. However, it's not nearly as good as Combat Heresy. Expulsion of Heathens, if you're going to play a very tall game, for example, as the Pope, conquer Italy, and then just stay there developing, could be really, really solid. It will allow you to make your lands productive. If you're playing as somebody, say, I don't know, the Livonian or Teutonic Order, and you've conquered all this terrible, terrible Lithuanian and Russian land in terms of development, also could be useful. Cheaper development is always very solid. However, the Combat Heresy plus 10% morale of armies is amazing. Now, to put this in perspective, the monarchy government form does not give you any combat bonuses, really at all. And the Republican one gets it later on. And overall, your biggest problems are going to be by playing a theocracy, is that you don't tend to usually get really, really great military ideas like France or Prussia's or even the Ottomans. This will help you balance it out. In fact, when you get this, specifically if you also take defensive ideas, you'll have an absolute insane amount of morale early game. But also, if you don't take defensive ideas, you'll still be able to fight on a reasonable level of morale with a lot of other nations in the game. Considering, countries like Austria or Spain start with 10 or 15% morale, you'll just be catching up to them, which is really useful. Because assuming you're going to expand as a theocracy, you're in Europe, you're going to run into one of those eventually. Next one, clergy and administration. You essentially can pick between a subservient bureaucrat for one free policy, regardless of type, which is really nice, or zealous administrative, negative 10% stability cost. Make it easy on yourself. Go with the subservient bureaucrats. This one, negative 10%, it's terrible. It really is. You don't need it. You don't lose stability as much as a monarchy does. Even if you do, if you've taken religious ideas, you get, negative 25%. So you're already in pretty good shape that way. But you should never really be having too much trouble with stability. The free policy is much more useful. It allows you to, have 2 in 1 rather than just 1 in each category free. For your next one, you have the question of, are you going to secularize? Now, obviously, if you're the Pope, it's not a big question because you're forbidden from crowning your ruler, which will shift you to a monarchy and lose you 2 government reforms, forcing you down to tier 3 in the monarchy. Or proclaim republic, which will also lose you 2, but switch you to a republic. Obviously, papacy locks you into playing as a religious government. Then the other ones you have are Magister Militum D. Probably said that wrong. Essentially, it allows, if you're a theocracy, for your ruler to be a general, and also gives you all your leaders +1 fire. Probably not the best idea to use at the Pope, considering their rulers are old, and making them a general gives them a chance of dying faster. On the other hand, if you got terrible popes, it would be a way to get rid of them. Plus, the land leader fire is really good, actually. It'll help you have better generals. However, your other one is strengthen religious head, which will give you yearly absolutism. Take a guess which one I'm going to pick. You should probably go for the strengthen religious head. Yearly absolutism is really good. It will allow you to, mess around with absolutism. If you have to use it to reduce rebels, it'll repair itself over time. It's very rare to get yearly absolutism, so which is always a benefit. This one could be useful, though. Really depends on your taste and whether or not you like killing off your rulers, who are, like 60. Yeah, that's a thing. That's pretty much it for them. Obviously, they don't have either the plutocratic or aristocratic ideas, so there's no point in trying to take either one of them to get that yearly absolutism from aristocratic ideas. So this is really your only way of getting yearly ticking absolutism that I'm aware of. If there's another way, please let me know. But anyway, that pretty much covers all their different reforms. Obviously, these 2 in the last reform are pretty much up to your personal choice. You'll probably get down to these reforms faster than any of the other governments can. So you can reform into a monarchy and a republic and then actually get some reforms, unlike, say, a republic, which by the time they get to the end, they get reset all the way down to a lower tier. Stuff like that. So this will essentially allow you to play as a theocracy for a while, and then if you want, switch into a later, better government form. Not that the theocratic is that bad. Specifically, the morale and war score versus other religions make them amazing at combat, surprisingly. A much needed boost. But anyway, that is the end of this video. If you haven't checked out the monarchy republics, or probably going to be tribal, by all means do so. And I will see you guys all next time. Bye for now.